So now we want to talk about how you can write for ear. The first session I had with you, it can be for anybody. It can be for people who are writing for the ear, like audio writers, and it could be for film writers. The same elements and the same um, types, the same ways that you tell stories. The same elements of good stories. You know, are, it's every medium has the same kind of elements, so it's not that different. But now I'm going to be focusing on how you write for the ear, and this is really, really a very quick and fast thing that I have to do. I'm sorry. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide, please. Let us learn the essentials of writing for the ear. So again, writing for the ear, we've already agreed that we're going to write stories, that are based on universal themes of emotional, that gives emotional resonance. Okay, so universal themes, characters, and so on that we love, that we're going to invest our time in. Okay, so in writing for the year, you're thinking about the kind of characters, the voices of the characters, because remember that you're not going to see them. So you're going to create characters that is every medium has the same kind of elements. So it's not that different. But now I'm going to be focusing on how you write for the ear. And this is really, really a very quick and fast thing that I have to do. I'm sorry. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide, please. Let us learn the essentials of writing for the ear. So again, writing for the ear, we've already agreed that we're going to write stories, that are based on universal themes of emotional, that gives emotional resonance. Okay, so universal themes, characters, and so on that we love, that we're going to invest our time in. Okay, so in writing for the year, you're thinking about the kind of characters, the voices of the characters, because remember that you're not going to see them. So you're going to create characters that people are going to figure out just from listening to them, their voices, and also in the way that they relate with others. Okay. So language, I just put that there because since it's an oral medium, language is important. So it's either in your local languages or in English or whatever language, but whoever you are talking to, it will be in the language that that person understands. So that's important. Um, you're going to be talking about locations that people cannot see, right? So what are you going to do? How are you going to make sure that people know where people are? You use something we call the sound effects. You create your world and you set the rules, accordingly using sound effects. So let's say that the people are in a mountain area, or they're near the ocean, or wherever it is they are. You're going to have to use sound effects to let us know they're there. And then the people themselves are going to have to, in their dialogue, they're going to have to intimate us on where exactly they are. You're also going to say what time of the day something is happening, an event is happening, and we'll know that also from the sound effects. Next slide, please. So basically, for the ear, you're going to be focusing whatever you're doing in pulling the imagination of the listener. Okay, so you are going to be depending on the imagination of the listener. So you have to give him all the tools that he needs to be able to imagine what you're telling him. So language, the language, the dialogue, and again the sound effects. Those are the things that will make him imagine what exactly you are asking to imagine. If you are imagining, if you want him to see a beautiful girl, you're going to have to use voice as well as the description of her by others, to get the listener to imagine that this is who is talking to them at that time. Okay, so you're also going to create a situation that will make listeners to suspend their disbelief. You give them all the ingredients that will make them suspend their disbelief. Okay, so even though in reality this is not something they would picture, they would see, or they would accept, because you've created it in such a way that you've given them all the clues and all the effects and everything, and you've said it, they're going to be able to suspend their disbelief and follow you. It's okay. In real life, this may not happen, but since you say this is what it is, and you've told us this is what it is, and all that, we're going to just go ahead with you. So it comes out of trust. If you don't do it well, people are going to just say, I beg. So you have to be very careful that you balance everything in a way that will make listeners to suspend their disbelief and follow with you. And what helps them a lot is the imagery and sensory details. For example, if there's music, if there is again, we go back to the voice of whoever is talking. I tell you, there were a few years ago, we had a drama where the woman had a child. The woman and her husband were very close, very, very close. And then they had a child that had sickle cell. And both parents are not like the father. I think he was AA and she was AS. So the question now is how can we have a sickler child? So it created a big tension in the family. That was the conflict that they had. And the woman kept on swearing that she had never in her life slept with any other person. Now, who do we believe, And her voice, this woman's voice, and just her demeanor and the way she's been created to act, you know. We got a letter. And this was in the days of, when people write letters. So at the end of our drama, we'll say, write us at such and such PO box. And our PO box is full of letters, all of them in love with this woman. They say, please, where can her name on the show was Pfizer. Please, I want to marry Pfizer. We got so many love letters. We believe her. She never ever did that. Why can't the husband believe her? And that's just from having somebody with a lovely voice. That was very interesting. So again, another show we had in Yoruba, the little girl's name, I think, is, what was that her name? Oh my God. Everybody just fell in love with her because her voice was so good. So again, when you are looking at when I talk about sensory details, those are some of the things that you have. But one last important point that I have to make is that you can't have silences on a radio program or on a radio drama or an audio drama, because silence, I'm listening, and if I don't hear anything, nothing is happening. Okay, so we don't have silences. You must have either sound effects, some music, or something. You have to have something. You can't have silence. Okay, so next slide, please. I don't know. What do we have time?
So I think we have like 10 minutes more of a presentation and
Okay.
then question and answer.
I don't know how I'm going to do this, but what I had in mind was to share is a short story with you, and then we can then dissect it and make it into an audio drama. Let me see if I can.
So I think we have like 10 minutes more of a presentation and
Okay.
then question and answer.
I don't know how I'm going to do this, but what I had in mind was to share is a short story with you, and then we can then dissect it and make it into an audio drama. Let me see if I can do that. All right. So go on. Okay, so here's a sample story that I wrote for you guys. So and the person's name is Eneni. Okay, so Eneni arrived at Clara and Jimin's house at 4:30 a.m., a good 30 minutes before the agreed time. All was still pitch black. Theo packed and honked twice, and Eneni shushed him, shocked that he could be so oblivious. The last thing she wanted to do was wake Jimin from his drunken stupor, or to alert him to their plans to take Clara away from his abuse and far away from where he can find her. So earlier, Clara had called her friend and sister-in-law Eneni in tears that she had locked herself in the bathroom after running from a crazed Jimin who had slapped and pushed her around and had gone for his gun, threatening to kill her. And then he had told her to stay put and that they would come for her. She had gone ahead and booked a flight through Lome to Paris for her. Lucky she still had Clara's passport from the logistics departments expediting their last trip together. Enough is enough. A sudden tap on her window startles Eleni, and she could just make out a face she assumes is Clara's. She quickly opens her door, even as Theo was shouting a warning to her to hold on. A delivery truck trundles by, swallowing most of his voiced alarm, which Eleni hardly hears in her hurry to step out and hug her friend. So that's the story. So I have a small exercise for you, and that is name one thing that will make this a good audio play. You can write in the chat box, right? Just one thing. If you can come up with more, that's fine. But just name one thing that can turn this into a good audio play. The chat box, right? Just one thing. If you can come up with more, that's fine. But just name one thing that can turn this into a good audio play.
Okay, we have that was says appropriate sound
Okay.
effects. Um, Bolanle says it's a relatable story.
Mhm.
Afolashade says domestic violence friendship.
Mhm. Awesome. Very, very good. Well done. Those are all things that are about this short story. I'm so surprised that you were able to catch on so quickly. All right. So we'll move from this short story. From this short story, let me summarize the essentials of writing drama for the ear. Okay. Focus on added sound effects to identify locations and tell us what is happening. Okay. So when you see this story, you want to turn it into a radio drama, focus on sound effects. For me, there are like 3 occasions where sound effects will really help me to understand this, to know what's going to be happening. Number one is they tell us in the story that this was at 4:30 a.m. and that it's pitch dark. So how will we know? We'll know this if the couple who came to wait for the friend talked about it. Okay, somebody could say, "Oh my, we're about 30 minutes early," or we could say, "She said five. She said, I told her we'll pick her up at 5 a.m." Oh, we have 30 minutes, so that can help us know that. Another way that we can know that is like in the middle of the night or like it's early in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock, is maybe we can have cock crowing somewhere. I'm not saying these are the only ways we can do, or maybe if it's the kind of area where they have plants, trees, and all that, we can hear birds going. Okay. So there were 2 occasions when you can add sound effect, like when he honked and she said, be quiet now. You want to wake the man, or, that sort of thing. And then at the point, at the cliff, at the top of the cliff, where she sees a face and he opens the door. He was like, no, don't do that. But at that material time, a truck trundles by and swallows his warning, and she opens the door. And you can all imagine who it was, who it was and who it wasn't, right? So focusing on sound effects can bring this whole drama to life. All right. We should never have complete silence, as I said. So even as they were waiting in the car, they should be having their dialogue going. And I always like to say that you should make the first and opening scene begin with a bang. you know. So don't make it too pastoral to the point where people lose interest. Always try and make your first opening scenes, start with a bang, and that is what will attract and hook attention. Okay. Um, like I said, like we said, in a radio drama, sound effects are the foundation of every scene. We have to know where you are. So sound effects or sound bed. Sound bed is when you have the whole sound going for a while. For example, in a market, the sound is like the same. Maybe in a school playing field, the sound will be the same. It will not change. It will just be going boo, and the background while dialogue is going on. So there are techniques that we use when we are producing to make sound beds not be too annoying. But then the listener thinks they're still hearing it as they continue to listen. Okay, so I said it's always also good to end the scenes on a cliffhanger, if possible, so that people want more in the end. So I have already mentioned the fact that you convey location through the help um, of of the sound effects. The opening scene, begins with a bang to attract who can hold attention. The character can also be revealing where they are by actually naming it, by saying where they are. And you make that very, very natural. You don't make it look too, you don't make it look like you what's the word I'm looking for? You don't make it look too fabricated. So it will come in very naturally in conversation where people are. So that's an art that you have to learn. You don't make it look too fabricated. So it will come in very naturally in conversation where people are. So that's an art that you have to learn. All right. So next slide. So in writing an audio play, you must think and consider the location, the sound effects, and a good catchy first scene. The wonderful thing about writing audio plays and the difference, the positive thing about an audio play is that you can do anything you want. If you want people to be in the Sahara Desert, you can do it. If you want them to climb the Himalayan mountains, to be on top of Kilimanjaro, you can say that's where you are. You can set your location wherever you want. You can have people hike up the mountain or whatever. You can do that. There's nothing you cannot do. You can be at sea, in a small canoe, just struggling for life. You can do that. The good thing is that we don't have to see it. We can imagine it if you do it well. If we have the good sound effects, if we have the good dialogue, we have the voices, the various voices, people are going to listen, and they're going to imagine that they are actually seeing those things, right? So you paint word pictures and use picturesque language. In fact, us Nigerians are known for picturesque languages. That's we speak in poetry. We use a lot of metaphors and so on. So use them. They make listening interesting for people. Okay, so the listeners are the ones who are going to visualize the whole scenario because of how you have put it together for them. Next. So again, quickly, I need to say that in an audio drama, the characters will identify the people they meet. It's not very natural. It's not the natural scheme of things, but that's what you do so that people who are listening can follow what's going on. Okay, so I would probably be here, and Adebisi comes like, "Hey, hello, Adebisi. "Oh, welcome at ABC," and she would say, "Ah, that's her. It's so nice. I mean, I plan to come visit you." And the way you call out each other is not normal, but then for a radio drama, it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, people will be asking, "Who is that again? Who's that again?" And so that's also why you have various characters. And when you are assigning profiles to them, you make sure that they don't all sound the same, so that when the producer is picking auditioning and picking cast, he also knows to have various voices, so that people are not confused and saying, "Who is that again? Who's that again?" Okay, so that they can, as time goes on, they can begin to identify people even from the way they sound. So we say characters should have audible quirks, like common sayings or affectations to identify them with. For example, somebody probably always clears the truth whenever they talk, or other people, maybe they sneak, or they have quirks, different, and they do a lot of so you have to assign quirks to your characters that you're developing, so that people will recognize them by those things. Okay, so people can visualize them. Um, Again, we don't like too many characters in each scene, because you don't want to confuse listeners. You have to be respectful of the fact that you are asking listeners to follow you in this journey, follow you in this world that you are creating, and all they have is their ear to understand what's going on. So you have to help them by not crowding their hearing and confusing them. Next slide, please. I've talked about all of these before, so I won't spend too much time on that. Again, if you're a writer for dramas, if you have a 15 minutes episode, a 15-minute drama, we'll look at about 4 scenes, and you connect the scenes, so somebody in maybe scene one, with somebody else will be in scene three, somebody in scene two will be with somebody else in scene four, but they are all like connected somehow, so that it now becomes like a whole rather than 4 different stories. Okay, even though it's a multi-plot series, it should still have like connections to make them to become one. And again, I come back to the fact that you should add humor, try and lighten up, have some fun, and maybe sometimes create a funny, a comedic person character. And then his role, one of parts of his role is to make us laugh by his antics, even though he has some other important role to play. So thank you very much. I came to the end of it in the end. Thank you for staying. Um, I know that it's a lot in a short time. I hope you got something.
Yes, a lot. So thank you so much, ma'am. You can drop your questions, on the chat box. Do we have questions? Let's time for a few questions before we start preparing to wrap up. Question. Okay, can we get the slides?
Hello, good evening.
I don't think
Hello, good
so.
evening.
You can watch what you can do. What we're going to do is we're going to be putting this on the YouTube page, and then we'll share the links, where we'll upload it, so you can go and rewatch again. Thank you. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dapo. Thank you so much for putting this together, and thank you so much for the insightful session, ma'am. Data. I have a very short question. There are usually school of thought that audio drama or anything that has got to do maybe like audio shouldn't be too lengthy that people get tired of it, like in so how long would you advise that a audio drama, depending on the matter that we are trying to address, let's say audio drama addressing family planning, or one addressing health, or one addressing education, how long would you advise that audio drama, scripts, or audio drama productions last, especially based off what you've done before, ma'am?
Okay, so when I first worked for a radio station, I was responsible for producing two radio dramas. One was a weekly series, and it was 15 minutes. So it would probably be about 13 and a half to 14 minutes in the end. And then I was also responsible for producing the drama for the month, you know, and that one was a big deal. That was an hour long drama. So it depends. And again, I've heard that. I've heard people say, oh, people don't have long attention span to sit and watch or listen to a drama for that long. And it's not true. It's really not true. It depends on how invested I want to be in something. And before I get invested, you should have already um, hooked me with your story and the characters that you have created. If I don't care for your character, I'm not going to stay. No matter how short or long the story is, I'll move on to something else. And if it's radio, then I'll go to another station. But if you have hooked me, I'm not leaving until I know what it is. And that is why when you have like a radio serialized radio dramas, you have people coming back because they want to know what's happened next with the character, with their favorite character. Do you understand? If you say soap opera, like a serialized story, I want to come back and know what happened next. That's when you leave me on a cliffhanger. You leave me at a point where something's about to happen, but I don't know what. Of course, I'm going to try and remind myself that I better listen to that next episode so that you know what happened to this guy. Okay, so it's the story, and it comes back to how good a story are you telling. Now, after all these years after I'd worked at radio, I started to work for a development organization, and so we do all of these development type dramas. And a lot of people think that means that you just slap together some story, and most of it is about the message. That's where it's wrong. That's why they think people don't want to hear a long anything longer than 15 minutes or whatever. And that's because they have not told any story at all. They've just decided, okay, let's say the story is about promoting um, immunization. So they will say, Alhaji and Alhaja, they have a child. Should they immunize him? Shouldn't they immunize him? And the father is saying, we better immunize him. Mother is saying, not my child. We're not going to go there and put any needle in. They say, and she comes up with some of the misinformations and rumors about immunization. And so they have that struggle going on, and then the child is sick, and then they run the child to the hospital, and the doctor said, madam, have you immunized this child? No. How can you not immunize the child? Or the nurse is now shouting on her and saying, how come you don't immunize your child? Do you know that this child, if this child dies, it's your business, you are the cause of it? And on and on and on. And luckily, this story can go either way. The child dies or the child lives. So next time there's a neighbor or a friend of hers or a relation of hers, and they're saying, we won't immunize. He said, you better take the child for immunization, no, because so they think they have done a drama. I just hope I'm not talking about somebody's mistakes, and it's not I'm not. So I'm just saying that may sound like drama because there's dialogue and all that, but there's really no story that
No
will hold
story there.
exact that but there's nothing like too long or too short. People's interests is usually if they like your story, they'll stay. If they don't like, they'll go. I think that's my short answer. The other one is how much are you willing to pay for? Because most of this airtime is not free, right? So if you have a radio drama that you want to air on radio, you have to also consider your purse. Those are some of the things that will make you decide, am I going to do a 5-minute drama or 15-minute drama or 30-minute drama? But normally I would say 15 minutes is a good time.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man.
All right. So let me quickly. Thank you. Thank you. I want to quickly just lump two questions before I come to Sekinat. I think she has a question. So I have Leia here says, how lengthy should a scene be? That's number one. Then the next question says, can a radio drama on advocacy for a social change continue for as long as a whole year or more if it is broadcast weekly? And then the last question on here, please, can you speak more on how to use suspense to sustain one storytelling? This is a jam class or master class. So you just answer to it briefly, ma. These three questions. I don't know if you got them.
Um, I got how long can each
Should a scene, you have episode. So how long should a scene be in an episode? One.
yeah
Um, can a radio drama run for as long as a year if it's
yeah
broadcast weekly? That's
yes it
number
can.
two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, first of all, how long should each scene be? I said for me, say 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes for the whole drama. So you can divide it into how long? Two and a half, maybe. Some scenes can be two and a half, some can be three, some can be four. But if you have four different scenes, and I like if it's again, I'm talking in terms of if it's a serialized drama, right? If it's not, and it's there are series, there are radio drama series where you have characters that are the same, but every episode something new happens and ends. Okay, then you have the serialized one where the action continues. You know, where the protagonist, the main actor is going through things and so on. So we follow him or her journey through. You know, so so that hopefully that answers that. But then let's talk about who wanted to know whether you can do a weekly drama series for up to a year. You can do a weekly drama series for 10 years, ad infinitum. When I was in England, I got into listening to a radio drama that had been on since 1940 something, after the World War, The Archers. The Archers is still running.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, The Archers. I think I'm not sure now, but I think it's still running because I was listening to them on the podcast app. It's free of charge. It's a BBC radio drama series that started after the World War, when people came back from the war, and most of these people who went to war were farmers, and they came back. The women were the ones who were looking after everything. They came back and they now wanted to reabsorb them into the farming system, dairy, either dairy farming or even wheat farming or whatever. And so they had new ideas on farming, which they wanted to postulate, which they wanted people to capture. And people were resistant to a lot of those new ideas, like artificial insemination of cattle, and so that they can deliver new calves and then have milk and all of that. How to improve wheat harvests, and so on. So they came up with all these ideas, and they put it into a radio drama. So they created this fake or fictitious farm area with people. And it wasn't just about farming, it was about their relationships, after they came back from war and so on. So people got very, very interested. And then it continued. And these were daily, every day they had a drama. Every day they had a drama. Then on
Wow.
Saturday, yes, on Saturday, they'll have drama from Monday to Saturday. Then on Sunday, they'll have an omnibus where they will now take skits from all 6 days, so that people who lost, who like forgot or who didn't join on Sundays can catch up. And on Monday, it will continue like that. And it hasn't stopped. It went on with the farming community until it grew into a city. And then, when new ideas, new things, new issues came up, like HIV/AIDS, they were one of the first people to go into that, to start portraying people who have who have HIV and all of that, and what we should do and not do with people like that. And then on and on, immunization of children, the same thing. Teenage pregnancy. So they start putting in other ideas, and until now they even have LGBTQ issues on it and so on. So things have changed, but then archers, they've grown. We've gotten grandmas, grandpas, people have died, new people have, babies who were born, at the time when I started listening to the archers in 1980, their grandmothers now, and so on and so forth. So yes, it's possible to have a radio drama series that can continue for up to a year or even longer than a year. We have had Rainbow City. When we started with Rainbow City, it's a once a week. And what stops us from doing one every day is because we just don't have that kind of fund. It's really expensive. Not only expensive to produce, to script and produce, but it's also expensive to air. If you don't have your own radio station, it means that you have to pay for the airtime. And how are you going to ever find money to pay for airtime? You can, if you can get maybe corporations to sponsor with their adverts. I don't know, that's possible, but those are the things that keep people like us from not being able to air a program forever. But it's something that it's possible, and it's really nice. It could really be nice, and people will listen. People will listen. Rainbow City, we produced up to we did up to 5 years of Rainbow City. That would be how many episodes? It's 52 episodes.
52 times 5. That's like 300 plus episodes.
Exactly. Exactly. So we had that. So that's so possible.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma.
Questions. That was the third.
Yeah. I wanted to. I'm kind of like trying to streamline now. So I'm looking at our time. I want us in the next 10 minutes to be out of here. Sekina, do you have a question quickly? So that we'll take yours and then we'll wrap up quickly. Quickly, please. In 60 seconds, ask your question.
Thanks for this opportunity. Yeah, I just want to ask. Yes, ma, how can we pitch our drama to a prospective sponsor?
That's a good question.
Very good question. It depends what kind of drama. If it's a development themed drama, you would be looking for development organizations to pitch it to. If it's an entertainment drama, that also has good values, good themes, good education that you want people to imbibe, you can look for corporations, to pitch to, but usually it will there are different things you can do. You can have like your script or your plots that you can pitch, or you can actually have like the first episode, a pilot that you've done that you can share. Does that answer your question, Sefina?
Okay, ma. Yes, ma. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Sekina. Thank you, everyone that asked questions. We will probably still reach out to you to answer some of the questions, but we are taking so long, so I want us to wrap up in the next 5 to 7 minutes. She'll go next slide, please. We just want to wrap up, and I'll come and say my final thank you. So here are some of the people that are part of our audio drama course ongoing. Now we have cohort 1 ongoing, 3 months, February to April. The first course is story development, which is what gave birth to this webinar, and we graciously open it to the public. The second course, which is starting on Saturday, is script writing for audio drama. And then the last will be in May, April, May, which is production. The audio drama people, students will be doing proper production. So it's an all-encompassing one. This is a bit from some of our students who are here as well. I just want to quickly read and we wrap up. You meet some of them and then you see what we are doing. So here is Adetoke Orekoya. He says, being the best was my only objective when I enrolled in the audio drama course. Every module I take teaches me something new that advances my objective. The training is the ideal and expert method to develop your storytelling skills. Simple, uncomplicated, and adaptable. Being a part of this course journey makes me happy and proud. So next one quickly, we're just taking about 3 of them. Shegun Adeleke says, this learning experience, in fact, his was very lengthy. We just took this. This learning experience is reshaping how I approach storytelling, both personally and professionally. As a health communicator and journalist, I now see how narrative techniques can make health awareness campaigns more engaging and how well-crafted stories can influence behavior and public perception on various issues. It has opened my eyes to how storytelling can shape narratives, influence perceptions, and bring ideas to life. Next, quickly. And Bolanle says, taking the Everything Audio Theater course is more than I imagined. I write stories, but now I'm aware of the gap in between stories. By this, I mean the tiny details I need to pay attention to that I didn't know. Now I know how to develop a well-rounded character with a good plot and all. I know that when I'm done with my story development course, I'll be able to say that I moved from 10 to 100. And then lastly, Afola Shade says, my favorite part of the course so far is character development. I have learned more on character creation of drama or play, using various character types like antagonists, protagonists to tell a story, and developing the characters' roles through profiling. I have also had a hint on how to sustain storytelling through suspense. So this is just a bit from our cohort 1 students who are currently, on the course, and they are going to be running it until May. The second cohort is starting in June. People are enrolling. If you want to enroll, you can visit our website, the DBC BZB Media, to see more details about how you can, be a part of this course and what it will take. Thank you to the resource person. So I want to say a very big thank you to Mrs. Data Fido, the Executive Director of the ADA Development Communications Incorporated. We say thank you so much, Ma, for giving us this time, giving us so much of your time tonight to come and share from your wealth of experience. We truly, truly, truly appreciate you. We celebrate you and we wish you a beautiful birthday tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Don't forget to drop your feedback, and we'll keep reaching out to you. And feel free to reach out to us via our email, our phone lines. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Ma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for the best wishes for my birthday. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye, everyone. And this is where we call it a wrap. Thank you so much and have a good evening, everyone.